The phone rang. "Hey, David," the voice on the other end said. "I'm afraid I've got some bad news. My tickets were booked. We were already running late. What else had gone wrong?" Friends, I'd like to tell you a story about a project that I managed and all the mistakes that I made. Hopefully you can learn from them. I was working in the video games industry. We'd managed to sign a contract to develop a console game for a reality TV show where the candidates would sing and dance. Signing the contract took some time, and to make sure the sales were as high as possible for the game, we wanted to release it when the show's new season was airing. Now, there was a game arcade near our offices. People there played a game called Dance Dance Revolution, where you press your feet on a mat to match the arrows on the screen. Now, this was before Wii Sports or even Xbox Connect, and it was fun, it was fresh, it was new. It was a video game that pushed you to be physically active. And we decided to do something similar with the same gameplay elements and a mat controller we would sell. We would add a 3D animated character dancing on the screen, and to make things even better, we would license songs from the show and then digitally capture the performance of a male and female dancers to create the animations. It was exciting stuff, and everything just fell into place without a cloud in sight, at least initially. Surely it would sell. We signed the contract with the TV channel and the production company, and we got to work. The first thing we needed to do was to decide on the songs. They sent us a list of possibilities, and we filtered out the songs that didn't have a beat that the players could dance to. On paper, the process for creating the game was simple. First, select the songs that we would use and clear the rights for them. Second, create a choreography to those songs. Third, teach a dancer that choreography. Fourth, record that choreography using motion capture. Finally, integrate the motion capture data into the game and create the levels. However, selecting the songs meant one thing: we had to get a signed agreement from the artists and their record label to actually use their songs. I started looking for someone to create the choreographies, and I ended up asking a friend of mine to work on them. I also contacted a motion capture studio in Hungary in Eastern Europe to do the motion capture. We were ready to roll, but the deadline was looming nearer and nearer, and we were still waiting for the artists and labels to clear the rights. And then, one by one, they came through. And so I sent them off, one by one, to the choreographer for her to work on them. She took her time. As she was a friend, it was difficult to insist that she work faster. Now, given that the motion capture studio was a 2-hour flight away, I waited until we had enough songs to warrant a trip before we flew down to Budapest. Of course, once we were ready to go, the dancer realized he didn't have his passport up to date, so I had to help him expedite that. And all this time, the clock was ticking away, and my boss was on edge. Finally, we were ready to go. The flights were booked for the next day, the hotels were ready, and I remember clearly the office where I was. It was 5 p.m, and the phone rang. "David," the voice on the other side said, "I think it's probably best if you don't come tomorrow." It was the head of the motion capture studio. "I'm sorry, what do you mean?" "It's best if we delay the recording," he said. "That's just not possible. Why are you asking us to delay?" And bit by bit, I pried the truth out of him. The studio had gone bankrupt. They hadn't paid their utility bills. Their electricity had been cut off, so they couldn't do the motion capture. I was in trouble. Now, before I tell you how I solved the problem, allow me to point out all the mistakes that I had made. First, I underestimated the time that was needed to clear the rights. Second, I hadn't paid attention to the critical path, which is the longest sequence of interdependent tasks: the music, the choreography, the dancer, the motion capture, the level. Third, I tried to reduce costs by booking the studio in Eastern Europe, but that made the tasks independent. And lastly, I didn't have alternate solutions in case things didn't work out along the way. Now, for all those you wondering what happened after that, well, I started looking for alternate solutions. We flew to Hungary, but we paid the studio's neighbours for the right to use their electricity. We hired a local studio that cost more, but that actually provided cleaner data and might have actually, in the long run, in total cost less. And I got to fly to Liverpool to bring the final Goldmaster to the console maker's factory. But that project, is probably one of the reasons why I'm not sad to no longer be working in the video games industry, and why I'm happy to be making videos instead. So I'll see you in the next one.